Hi, it's Paris, wandering guest contributor to Just in Time, and I'm traveling in Mexico right now for Christmas this year. And with all the stuff going on about the Twinkies in the US and Hostess closing down the factories, going bankrupt, no more Twinkies, I knew that they made a Twinkie in Mexico, a knockoff Twinkie by a different bakery. I'd occasionally even seen them for sale in the US. My guess was that that company would probably buy up the Hostess brand, close, of course, all the factories, lay off, fire all the employees, and then they would take their knockoff Twinkies, package them up as Hostess Twinkies, and then they could sell them in the US as Hostess Twinkies. They taste pretty much the same. Anyway, I was here in Mexico, and so I was at Walmart, and I thought, well, I'll look and see if they have any of those type of Twinkies. So I'm in the bakery aisle, right, and I can't find any of the knockoff Twinkies, but I find that they have a chocolate-covered Twinkie that actually looks kind of tasty. The thing that was the problem with it is the packaging. So let me show you this. Zoom in so that you can see. Yeah. So now, to be fair, the Spanish word for black is negro. And if you were just looking at the wording on the package, it translates as little black ones. And so that could be not so offensive. But once you throw the picture in, really, there's not much doubt what they're going for here with their advertising. And you not only have the character with the giant afro, you have the musical note, so whistling a tune, walking down the street, I assume. Well, anyhow, this is Mexico, still in the end of 2012, a little bit behind the times in terms of race relations. Now, they have racism here. Certainly the different colored skin gets you different opportunities. If you've ever watched the Spanish language, mostly Mexican programming channels in the US, you'll notice in the telenovelas, their version of soap operas, that it's usually the light-skinned blonde people who own the fancy homes in the story, and the dark-haired, dark-skinned people who are working as the maids and the cooks and so forth. That's actually a fairly common theme throughout the world. If you look at India, it's the same sort of thing. The top class within their caste system tend to be lighter-skinned people, and the untouchable people tend to be the very dark-skinned people. So it's an issue around the world, and certainly in the U.S. we haven't gotten beyond it. Even having a black president, there's still plenty of racism in the U.S. And I don't know, it may not help the matter that for Mexico to get its stereotypes of blacks, that their longest stretch of border is actually with Texas. So if you sort of imagine Texas filtering America, and so when you look at how the things are presented in Texas, you imagine that's how America treats things. But yeah, that's not really the case, right? You may remember Texas Governor Rick Perry caught some flack early on in his run for president, where he and some of his hunting buddies would go a camp area where they would go hunting, and the name that was inscribed on the rock when you pulled up to turn, so you would know where you were going. Anyway, I won't repeat that here. But yeah, Texas's view isn't very progressive, probably about much of anything. And so they have the stereotype of how American blacks are here. And of course, if you look at the picture, it's not really even a very modern stereotype. You know, this stereotype seems to be more from the 50s. And my guess is this is probably an old product. And this is, that's when the design for this was done. I don't know. Anyway, there's, the arguments to be made for how much leeway to allow other countries that don't have quite the same racial issues you may have in your country. The problem is, and the reason I'm mentioning this isn't to give flack to Mexico, it's why are they selling this at Walmart? It's not like the Walmart Mexico is a company that just started on its own and happened to steal the Walmart name. It's part of the Walmart chain. So Walmart, a US-based company, really needs to be responsible for whatever the Walmarts around the world, which they're hoping to have more and more, whatever those Walmarts are doing. And I don't know if you recall earlier this year, Walmart, there was an investigation launched against them. I don't know if it was a lawsuit involved, about bribery in Mexico. That the Walmarts in Mexico were using bribery, probably in construction, in getting deals with vendors and so forth. And it wouldn't be at all surprising because there's a lot of corruption in Mexico and there is a lot of bribery that goes on. But the way this is supposed to work, according to U.S. law, is if you are a U.S. corporation and you go to do business in another country, you still have to follow U.S. law. You can't say, well, the companies there in India are using lots of child labor to produce their shoes, so what can we do but use child labor as well to be competitive? You know, that's not allowed. If we've decided in the United States that this is not acceptable, then even if you go abroad and that company allows it, you aren't allowed to do it just because they're doing it there. You have to follow U.S. law or you're in trouble in the U.S. And so Walmart was in trouble for bribery that they were doing in Mexico. And this isn't a legal issue, but it's certainly a moral and ethical issue, and something that you can look at two different ways, I think, if there's something that you'd like to do about it. If this offends you, which hopefully it would. One is to talk to Walmart in the U.S. and say, why are you allowing your Walmart stores in Mexico to sell this product? Now, admittedly, it looks like it could really well be delicious, but can't they change the name and the packaging? They sell the same product in Walmart, but do it in a way that isn't going to offend people. And the other, or you can approach the company, the bakery and company that makes this in Mexico, which is Bimbo, which, again, if you're going to sell in the U.S., you might want to reconsider that name. But in any case, they do sell in the U.S. I don't know if they have bakeries in the U.S. or if they just send everything up from Mexico. But you can always contact the Bimbo company, both the U.S. division and the main Mexican parent company, and say, we don't like you selling this, it's very offensive to us, and so if you continue to do so, we may not buy your other products that you sell in the U.S. If you go into convenience stores in the U.S. and look at snack, cake, that sort of junk food sort of stuff, and this may actually be part of why Hostess had to go bankrupt, is that other companies, particularly this one, Bimbo from Mexico, is able to bring the snacks in cheaper and sell them cheaper, and so Hostess wasn't, with their U.S.-based bakeries and their U.S. employees, they weren't able to keep up with the pricing. But in any case, you can ask them, don't sell this kind of thing anywhere else if you want to sell things in our country, because we find this offensive and it's really inexcusable. Now, if you've traveled much, you've run into similar situations, I'd like to hear about it. Go ahead and post comments underneath this video, and I've traveled around the world a few times, so I'd be glad to reply. We can have a discussion about this, whether it's something we should make a big deal about or not. What do you think?